In the year 2147, humanity had come a long way. People had built machines that could travel to the stars and explore places no one had ever seen before. Mars, the red planet, was no longer just a distant dot in the night sky. It had become a second home for scientists, engineers, and dreamers who wanted to push the limits of what humans could do. Among them was Dr. Laura Bennett, a smart and determined scientist with a passion for uncovering the mysteries of the universe. She spent most of her days studying strange signals from space, hoping to find proof that Earth was not alone. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon of Mars, casting an orange glow across the rocky landscape, Laura sat in her small lab. The room was filled with blinking screens, humming equipment, and stacks of papers covered in notes. Her team had been working nonstop for weeks, trying to decode a series of faint signals they had picked up from deep space. At first, they thought it was just random noise, like static on an old radio. But as they analyzed the data more closely, something unusual began to emerge. Hidden within the chaos of the signal was a pattern, repeating sequences that didn't seem natural. Laura's heart raced as she realized what this might mean. "This isn't just background radiation," she said aloud, though no one else was in the room. "Someone, or something, is sending this." She quickly called Commander Jack Ryan, the head of operations at the Mars base. Jack was a tall man with sharp features and a calm demeanor, but even he looked surprised when Laura explained her findings. Together, they decided to share the discovery with their superiors back on Earth. The news traveled fast. Within hours, top officials from the United Nations Space Council were gathered in a secure video conference, listening intently as Laura presented her evidence. She showed them charts and graphs, pointing out the patterns in the signal. Then she played a recording of the transmission. It sounded like a series of clicks and whistles, almost musical in nature. While the message itself was still unclear, one thing was certain: it wasn't made by any human technology. "What does it mean?" asked General Sam Carter, a gruff man with decades of military experience. His voice carried a mix of curiosity and concern. No one had an answer yet, but everyone agreed that this was a momentous occasion. For centuries, people had wondered if there was intelligent life beyond Earth. Now it seemed they might finally have proof. Dr. Emily Dawson, a leading astrophysicist, leaned forward in her seat. "If this is real, and I believe it is, we need to proceed carefully," she said. "We don't know who or what sent this message. They could be friendly, or they could be hostile." Emily's words hung in the air, heavy with implication. The possibility of meeting alien life was both thrilling and terrifying. Humanity had always dreamed of finding others in the vastness of space, but now that the dream was becoming a reality, fear crept in. What if these aliens saw humans as weak? What if they wanted to take over Earth's resources? Or worse, what if they saw humanity as a threat? As the meeting continued, another piece of information came to light. Laura's team had traced the origin of the signal to a group of stars near the edge of the galaxy. Further analysis suggested that the beings responsible for the transmission were part of a species known as the Xanthari. Though little was known about them, rumors had circulated among astronomers for years. Some claimed the Xanthari were highly advanced, capable of traveling between stars in the blink of an eye. Others whispered that they were ruthless conquerors, wiping out civilizations that stood in their way. Commander Jack Ryan listened quietly, his mind racing. He had spent years training for scenarios like this, but nothing could fully prepare him for the weight of the situation. If the Xanthari really were watching Earth, then humanity needed to act quickly. But how? Should they try to communicate back? Should they prepare for war? These questions swirled in his head as he thanked Laura and her team for their hard work and ended the call. Back on Mars, Laura couldn't sleep. She stared out the window of her quarters, gazing at the endless expanse of stars. Each one represented a world, a potential home for life. And somewhere out there, perhaps watching silently, were the Xanthari. Were they curious about Earth? Did they see humans as equals or as prey? Laura shivered at the thought. Despite her scientific training, she couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was stepping into uncharted territory, where every decision could have massive consequences. The next morning, Laura met with Jack again. They discussed the possibility of sending a reply to the Zinthuri, hoping to establish peaceful contact. But Jack reminded her that they needed to be cautious. "We can't assume they'll respond kindly," he said. "For all we know, they've already seen us as a target." Laura nodded, understanding the risks. Still, she couldn't help but feel hopeful. This was a chance for humanity to prove itself, not just as explorers, but as thinkers, creators, and survivors. Whatever happened next, one thing was clear. The universe was no longer a lonely place. The news of the alien signal spread like wildfire across Earth. People talked about it everywhere, in schools, offices, and homes. Some were excited, imagining friendly aliens bringing advanced technology or sharing wisdom. Others were scared, fearing invasion or destruction. Governments around the world scrambled to respond. The United Nations Space Council held another meeting, this time with more urgency. Leaders from different countries gathered in a large room filled with screens and maps, their faces reflecting a mix of hope and worry. Dr. Emily Dawson stood at the front of the room, explaining what they knew so far. She used simple words and clear diagrams to help everyone understand. "We believe the signal came from a species called the Zinthuri," she said. "They are very advanced, much more than us. We don't know if they want to talk or if they see us as a threat." Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly as she pointed to a map of the galaxy. It showed Earth's location and the area where the signal had originated. The distance was enormous, but not impossible for an advanced species to cross. General Sam Carter, sitting near the back, frowned deeply. He was a man who believed in being prepared for the worst. "If these aliens are watching us, we can't just sit here and wait," he said firmly. "We need to show them that we're ready to defend ourselves. If they think we're weak, they might attack." His words made some people nod in agreement, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. No one wanted to imagine war with an alien race, but ignoring the possibility seemed reckless. On the other side of the table, Dr. Laura Bennett listened carefully. She had returned from Mars to share her insights with the Council. Unlike Sam, she leaned toward diplomacy. "We don't know anything about the Zinthuri yet," she argued gently. "They might be peaceful. If we act aggressively, we could start a conflict that doesn't need to happen. Let's try talking first." Her tone was measured, but her eyes sparkled with determination. She truly believed that humanity's best chance lay in communication, not confrontation. The debate went on for hours. People raised their voices, interrupted each other, and gestured wildly. Finally, someone suggested a compromise. "What if we prepare for both possibilities?" asked a young politician named Daniel Meyer. "We can work on building better defenses while also sending a message to the Zinthuri. That way, we're covered no matter what happens." This idea seemed to satisfy most of the group, and after some discussion, they agreed to move forward with two plans. The first plan involved accelerating Project Titan, a secret program designed to create a massive battleship capable of protecting Earth. Officially, the project had been kept hidden, known only to a small group of scientists and engineers. Now, with the alien signal looming over them, the Council decided to pour all available resources into finishing the ship as quickly as possible. They hoped it would serve as a deterrent against any hostile actions by the Zinthuri, or worse, an actual weapon if things turned violent. For the second plan, the Council tasked Dr. Emily Dawson and her team with crafting a reply to the alien signal. The message would be simple and non-threatening, expressing humanity's desire for peace and cooperation. It would include images of Earth, its people, and its achievements, along with mathematical patterns that any intelligent species could understand. Emily worked tirelessly on this task, consulting linguists, artists, and even philosophers to ensure the message conveyed the right tone. Meanwhile, General Sam Carter focused on strengthening Earth's military presence in space. He ordered additional satellites to be launched, equipped with sensors to monitor the skies for any signs of alien activity. Troops stationed on the Moon and Mars were put on high alert, and training exercises became more frequent. Jack Ryan, the commander of Mars operations, played a key role in coordinating these efforts. He traveled between bases, inspecting equipment and speaking with soldiers. Though he tried to remain optimistic, he couldn't shake the feeling that something big was coming. And soon, as days turned into weeks, tensions grew. Reports of strange lights in the sky began to surface, though none could be confirmed as alien ships. Conspiracy theories flourished online, and protests erupted in major cities. Some people demanded immediate action, while others pleaded for patience. Amid the chaos, ordinary citizens looked to the stars with a mix of awe and dread. What did the future hold? Would humanity rise to the challenge, or would it crumble under the weight of its own fears? Back in the lab, Laura and her team continued analyzing the alien signal, searching for clues about the Synthuri's intentions. One night, as she reviewed the data, she noticed something unusual. Buried within the transmission was a faint reference to Earth itself, not directly, but through coordinates matching our solar system. It was subtle, almost hidden, but undeniable. Someone, or something, knew exactly where humanity lived. Laura's heart sank as she realized the implications. The Synthuri weren't just randomly broadcasting. They had targeted Earth specifically. Why? And how long had they been watching? She shared her findings with Jack, who immediately informed the council. The revelation sent shockwaves through the group. If the Synthuri already knew about Earth, then humanity's window of opportunity to prepare was shrinking fast. Despite the mounting pressure, progress continued. Construction of the battleship moved ahead at an impressive pace, thanks to Chief Engineer Daniel Brooks and his team. Dubbed the Odyssey, the ship was unlike anything humanity had ever built. Its sleek design and powerful engines hinted at its potential, while its weapons systems promised protection. Workers labored day and night, driven by a shared sense of purpose. They knew the fate of their planet rested in their hands. Captain Rachel Morgan, chosen to lead the Odyssey, spent her days studying blueprints and running simulations. She was a skilled pilot and a natural leader, respected by everyone under her command. Yet even she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. Every decision she made could mean life or death, for her crew, for Earth, and perhaps for all of humanity. As the pieces fell into place, the world waited anxiously. No one knew when, or if, the Synthuri would respond to humanity's message. But one thing was certain: whatever happened next would change everything. Construction of the Odyssey was no small task. It took place far from Earth, orbiting Saturn, where its massive rings provided both cover and resources. The location was chosen carefully. Building such a powerful ship close to home would have been risky if the Synthuri were watching. Chief Engineer Daniel Brooks oversaw the operation, leading a team of thousands who worked tirelessly in the cold vacuum of space. Every day, shuttles brought materials mined from Saturn's moons, while robotic arms welded pieces together with precision. Daniel was a tall man with graying hair and a calm demeanor. He had spent his entire career designing spacecraft, but nothing compared to the Odyssey. This wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's last line of defense. Its size alone was staggering, longer than 3 football fields and bristling with advanced technology. The hull was made of a special alloy that could withstand extreme temperatures and impacts. Inside, engineers installed weapons systems capable of firing beams of concentrated energy, as well as shields reverse-engineered from alien tech discovered decades earlier. Despite the complexity of the project, Daniel remained focused. He walked through the construction site every day, inspecting progress and solving problems. His workers admired him for his dedication and leadership. "We're not just building a ship," he often reminded them. "We're building hope. For Earth, for our families, for everyone." These words kept morale high, even when the work grew difficult. While the Odyssey took shape, Captain Rachel Morgan prepared her crew. She had been handpicked to lead the mission because of her skill and experience. A former fighter pilot, Rachel was known for staying cool under pressure. But commanding a ship like the Odyssey required more than flying ability. It demanded strategy, teamwork, and quick thinking. To prepare, she ran countless drills, simulating battles against hypothetical alien fleets. Her crew, a mix of seasoned veterans and young recruits, trained hard to meet her high standards. Rachel's second-in-command was Lieutenant Kevin Hayes, a brilliant tactician with a knack for problem-solving. Kevin spent hours poring over maps of nearby star systems, planning routes and contingencies. Though quiet by nature, he earned respect for his sharp mind and steady presence. Together, Rachel and Kevin formed a strong partnership, balancing each other's strengths and weaknesses. Back on Earth, people followed the progress of the Odyssey with bated breath. News outlets broadcast updates daily, showing footage of the ship taking form. Some reports highlighted the technological marvels on board, while others speculated about how it might perform in battle. For many, the Odyssey symbolized humanity's resilience, a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, people could come together to achieve greatness. But not everyone supported the project. Critics argued that focusing so much effort on a single ship left Earth vulnerable elsewhere. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, holding signs that read, "Peace first," and "Talk, don't fight." Dr. Emily Dawson sympathized with their concerns. She still believed diplomacy was the best path forward and continued working on the message intended for the Xanthori. However, she understood the need for caution. If the aliens turned out to be hostile, humanity would need something to fall back on. And the Odyssey was that fallback plan. As months passed, the ship neared completion. Workers added final touches, testing systems, and running diagnostics. One evening, Daniel stood outside the control center, gazing at the Odyssey as it floated against the backdrop of Saturn's rings. The sight filled him with pride, but also apprehension. What if the ship failed? What if it wasn't enough? Shaking off these thoughts, he reminded himself of why they were doing this, to protect everything they held dear. Meanwhile, General Sam Carter monitored Earth's defenses. Troops stationed on Mars conducted exercises designed to simulate alien attacks. Satellites equipped with sensors scanned the skies constantly, searching for any sign of the Xanthori. So far, there had been no direct contact, but the lack of information only heightened tensions. Was the enemy waiting, planning, or simply observing? In orbit around Saturn, the mood shifted as launch day approached. Crew members packed their belongings and said goodbye to loved ones via video calls. Many felt nervous but determined. They knew the risks involved but also understood the importance of their mission. If the Xanthori came, the Odyssey would stand between them and Earth. On the morning of the launch, Rachel addressed her crew one last time. Standing in the ship's main hall, surrounded by rows of attentive faces, she spoke with conviction. "This is more than a mission," she said. "It's a chance to show the universe what we're made of. We may be small compared to the stars, but we're strong. Together, we can face whatever comes our way." Her words inspired cheers and applause, lifting spirits before the journey ahead. Finally, the moment arrived. Engines roared to life, shaking the surrounding space. Slowly, majestically, the Odyssey began its descent toward Earth's orbit. Cameras captured the event, broadcasting it live to billions of viewers. People watched in awe as the ship moved gracefully through the debris field near Saturn, its polished surface gleaming under the distant sun. For a brief moment, fear gave way to wonder. Humanity had created something extraordinary, yet danger lurked nearby. As the Odyssey passed through the debris field, several Xanthori scout ships emerged from the shadows. Their sleek insectoid designs glinted menacingly in the light. Without warning, they opened fire, sending bolts of energy streaking toward the human vessel. Alarms blared inside the Odyssey, and Rachel sprang into action. She ordered evasive maneuvers, guiding the ship away from the blasts. At the same time, Kevin coordinated countermeasures, deploying decoys and targeting the enemy's weak points. The standoff lasted only minutes but felt like hours. Using precise calculations, Rachel positioned the Odyssey behind a large chunk of ice, using it as cover. Then, with a single command, she activated the ship's experimental EMP weapon. A pulse of energy surged outward, disabling the Xanthari scouts without causing permanent damage. Stunned by the display of power, the alien ships retreated, vanishing into the void. Silence fell over the Odyssey's bridge as the crew processed what had just happened. They had faced their first real test, and passed. But Rachel knew this was only the beginning. The Xanthari now knew what humanity was capable of, and that knowledge would change everything. The encounter with the Xanthari scouts left everyone on edge. Though the Odyssey had emerged victorious, the brief skirmish served as a stark reminder of the danger humanity faced. News of the incident spread quickly, reaching Earth within hours. People gathered around screens in homes, cafes, and public squares, watching replays of the battle. Some cheered at the sight of the alien ships retreating, while others felt a growing sense of unease. If those were just scouts, what would the full force of the Xanthari fleet look like? Back on the Odyssey, Captain Rachel Morgan called an emergency meeting with her senior officers. The room buzzed with tension as crew members discussed what had happened. Lieutenant Kevin Hayes stood by a holographic display, showing the trajectory of the Xanthari ships before they disappeared. "They weren't expecting us to fight back so effectively," he said. "But this won't stop them. It'll make them more cautious, and maybe more aggressive." Rachel nodded, her expression serious. "We need to be ready for anything," she told the group. "From now on, every decision we make could mean life or death, for us and for Earth." Her words hung heavy in the air, but no one argued. They all knew the stakes. Meanwhile, General Sam Carter received updates from the Odyssey via secure channels. Sitting in his office on Earth, he studied reports about the alien ships. Their technology was advanced, far beyond anything humans had encountered before. Yet the Odyssey had managed to hold its own, thanks to its cutting-edge design and skilled crew. Still, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was outmatched. He ordered additional reinforcements to be sent into orbit, just in case the Xanthari decided to strike again. Days turned into weeks, and the Xanthari remained silent. No new attacks came, but their absence only deepened the mystery. Were they regrouping, planning something bigger, or simply observing? The uncertainty weighed heavily on everyone involved. On Earth, protests calling for peace grew louder, while military leaders pushed for stronger defenses. The United Nations Space Council held another meeting to address the situation. Dr. Emily Dawson attended the meeting, representing the scientific community. She still believed in diplomacy, even after the skirmish near Saturn. "We don't know their intentions yet," she argued. "Maybe they're scared of us too. Maybe they think we're a threat." Her voice carried conviction, but not everyone agreed. General Sam Carter countered her points, insisting that humanity needed to prepare for the worst-case scenario. "Hope for peace, but plan for war," he said firmly. Eventually, the council decided to send a formal message to the Xanthari, hoping to open lines of communication. Using the same frequency as the original signal, they transmitted a carefully crafted reply. The message included images of Earth, its people, and its achievements, along with mathematical patterns designed to convey intelligence and peaceful intent. Dr. Emily Dawson supervised the process, ensuring every detail was clear and non-threatening. When the transmission was complete, all they could do was wait. It didn't take long for the Xanthari to respond. Less than 2 days later, a massive fleet appeared near Jupiter, halting just outside Earth's reach. The ships were enormous, dwarfing even the Odyssey. Their sleek insectoid designs shimmered ominously against the backdrop of space. A single vessel detached from the fleet and approached Earth, broadcasting a demand for direct communication. The United Nations Space Council convened once more, this time joined by representatives from every major nation. In a secure facility, they set up a live video link with the Xanthuri ship. When the connection was established, a holographic figure materialized before them. It was Sylar 9, the leader of the Xanthuri delegation. His form was tall and slender, with multiple limbs and glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through the screen. His voice, translated into English through advanced software, was cold and mechanical. "Humans," Sylar 9 began, "you have intruded upon our domain. Your reckless expansion into space threatens the balance we have maintained for millennia. Cease your activities immediately or face the consequences." His words sent shockwaves through the room. Some council members gasped, while others clenched their fists in anger. Dr. Emily Dawson stepped forward, trying to remain calm. "We mean you no harm," she said. "We seek only to explore and learn. We wish to coexist peacefully." Her tone was respectful but firm. She hoped to appeal to whatever sense of reason the Xanthuri might possess. Sylar 9 tilted his head slightly, as if studying her. "Your kind is unpredictable," he replied. "You advance too quickly, without regard for the impact of your actions. We cannot allow this to continue unchecked." His gaze shifted across the room, lingering on each human face. "Consider this your final warning." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the council in stunned silence. For several minutes, no one spoke. Then General Sam Carter broke the quiet. "This changes nothing," he said grimly. "We knew they might see us as a threat. Now we know for sure." Dr. Emily Dawson sighed deeply, frustration evident on her face. "They didn't even give us a chance to explain ourselves," she muttered. "How can we prove we're not dangerous if they refuse to listen?" Despite the setback, the council refused to give up. They issued a statement to the public, assuring citizens that Earth's leaders were doing everything possible to protect the planet. Behind closed doors, however, preparations intensified. The Odyssey was ordered to stay on high alert, patrolling the edges of Earth's orbit. Additional satellites were launched to monitor the Xanthuri fleet, while ground-based defenses were upgraded. On board the Odyssey, Rachel and her crew prepared for the possibility of another confrontation. Kevin ran simulations based on the data collected during the first encounter, identifying potential weaknesses in the Xanthuri ships. Engineers worked around the clock to reinforce the Odyssey's shields and weapon systems. Morale remained high, though the strain of constant vigilance began to show. Crew members spent their downtime writing letters to loved ones or staring out viewports at the distant stars, wondering if they would ever see home again. As the days passed, the Xanthuri fleet stayed put, hovering menacingly near Jupiter. Occasionally, smaller ships would detach and patrol the area, but they made no move toward Earth. It was as if they were waiting. For what? No one could say. Humanity held its breath, bracing for the next chapter in this unfolding drama. Back on Earth, ordinary people found ways to cope with the uncertainty. Some threw themselves into work, others prayed, and many turned to art and music as a form of solace. Street artists painted murals of the Odyssey soaring through space, while musicians composed songs about courage and unity. Even in fear, humanity found ways to create beauty and meaning. For now, the standoff continued. Neither side made the first move, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. The question wasn't if the Xanthuri would act, it was when. And when that moment came, the Odyssey would be humanity's shield, its sword, and its last hope. The standoff between humanity and the Xanthuri stretched on, each day bringing new tension, but no resolution. The alien fleet remained near Jupiter, a constant reminder of the danger looming over Earth. On board the Odyssey, Captain Rachel Morgan and her crew kept watch, their eyes glued to monitors showing the positions of the Xanthuri ships. Every movement was analyzed, every signal scanned for clues. Despite the calm, everyone aboard knew it wouldn't last forever. Back on Earth, Dr. Emily Dawson spent long hours studying the behavior of the Xanthuri fleet. She worked closely with linguists and computer experts, trying to decipher any patterns in their transmissions. One evening, As she reviewed data from the encounter near Saturn, something caught her attention. Hidden within the energy signatures of the scout ships was a faint trace of surprise, almost like shock. It wasn't obvious at first, but when she cross-referenced it with other readings, the pattern became clear. The Xanthari hadn't expected humanity to fight back so effectively. They had underestimated the Odyssey. Excited by her discovery, Emily rushed to share it with General Sam Carter. When she arrived at his office, he was poring over maps of Earth's defenses. "General," she said breathlessly, "I think I've found something important." She explained her findings, pointing out how the Xanthari's actions suggested they were unprepared for humanity's level of technology. They didn't think we could build something like the Odyssey. That's why they seemed so surprised during the skirmish. Sam leaned back in his chair, his brow furrowed in thought. "You're saying they didn't see us coming?" he asked. "Exactly," Emily replied. "They assumed we'd be weaker, less advanced. But the Odyssey proved them wrong. If we play our cards right, that advantage might give us leverage." Her words sparked hope among Earth's leaders. For weeks, fear had dominated discussions about the Xanthari. Now, for the first time, there was a glimmer of optimism. If the aliens underestimated humanity, then perhaps humans stood a chance after all. The Council decided to use this knowledge strategically. They instructed Rachel and her crew to maintain a strong presence near Earth, projecting confidence even if they felt uncertain inside. On the Odyssey, preparations continued at full speed. Engineers fine-tuned the ship's systems, ensuring everything was ready for battle. Lieutenant Kevin Hayes ran drills with the crew, simulating scenarios where the Xanthari launched a full-scale attack. He focused on exploiting weaknesses identified during the earlier skirmish, teaching pilots how to dodge enemy fire and strike critical targets. Morale improved as the crew realized they weren't just sitting ducks. They had tools and tactics that could tip the scales in their favor. Rachel noticed the change in her team's attitude. Before, there had been a sense of dread, as if defeat were inevitable. Now, determination replaced fear. People moved with purpose, speaking confidently about their ability to defend Earth. Even small gestures, like sharing jokes during breaks or cheering when tests went well, helped boost spirits. Rachel made sure to acknowledge their hard work, knowing that leadership meant more than giving orders. It meant inspiring others to believe in themselves. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens on Earth found ways to support the cause. Factories ramped up production of supplies needed for space missions, while volunteers organized drives to collect food and essentials for military families. Artists painted murals of the Odyssey alongside symbols of peace, blending messages of strength and unity. Schools held essay contests asking students to imagine what life might be like if humans and Xanthari could coexist. These efforts reminded everyone that humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. It was fighting for its values, its dreams, and its future. As days turned into weeks, the Xanthari fleet showed no signs of leaving. Occasionally, smaller ships ventured closer to Earth, testing the planet's defenses. Each time, the Odyssey responded with precision, driving them back without escalating the conflict. These encounters reinforced the idea that humanity was prepared, sending a message to the Xanthari. Earth would not go down without a fight. Then came the breakthrough. One night, while analyzing intercepted signals, Emily discovered something extraordinary. Buried within the Xanthari transmissions was a fragment of conversation, not directed at Earth, but among themselves. Using advanced translation software, she pieced together parts of the dialogue. The gist was clear. The Xanthari were divided. Some believed attacking Earth would be too costly, given humanity's unexpected capabilities. Others argued that allowing humans to continue advancing posed an unacceptable risk. Emily shared her findings with the Council immediately. "This is huge," she said. "If the Xanthari are debating their next move, it means they're not united. We can use that to our advantage." General Sam Carter nodded thoughtfully. "If we show them we're willing to negotiate, but also capable of defending ourselves, they might hesitate to attack," he suggested. With renewed determination, the Council crafted a bold plan. They sent another message to the Zinthuri, reiterating humanity's desire for peace, but emphasizing its readiness to protect itself. This time, they included footage of the Odyssey in action, showcasing its power and precision. The response came quicker than anyone expected. Within hours, Sylar 9 appeared once more via hologram, his glowing eyes colder than before. "Your persistence is intriguing," he said, "but do not mistake hesitation for weakness. The decision regarding your fate has yet to be made." His tone carried a hint of frustration, as though humanity's resilience had disrupted his plans. Though Xylar 9 offered no guarantees, his words hinted at internal conflict within the Zinthuri ranks. Earth's leaders took this as a sign that their strategy was working. By demonstrating strength while pursuing diplomacy, they had forced the aliens to reconsider their approach. On board the Odyssey, Rachel gathered her crew to discuss the latest developments. "We've shown them we're not afraid," she said. "Now we need to prove we're not reckless. Every action we take matters. Every choice counts." Kevin added, "And if they decide to attack anyway, we'll be ready. Not just with weapons, but with courage." The crew erupted into applause, their resolve stronger than ever. For the first time since the alien signal was discovered, hope outweighed fear. Humanity had faced uncertainty, hostility, and doubt, and risen to meet the challenge head-on. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain: the Odyssey and its crew embodied the spirit of humanity. Determined, resourceful, and unyielding. Tensions reached a breaking point when the Zinthuri finally acted. Without warning, their massive fleet surged forward, leaving Jupiter's orbit and heading straight for Earth. The move caught humanity off guard, but not entirely unprepared. Satellites monitoring the area detected the advance, and alarms blared across military bases around the globe. Within minutes, General Sam Carter was on the line with Captain Rachel Morgan aboard the Odyssey. "They're coming," he said grimly. "It's up to you now." Rachel didn't hesitate. She gave the order to mobilize the Odyssey, positioning it between Earth and the incoming alien armada. The ship's engines roared as it moved into place, its sleek frame cutting through space like a blade. On board, the crew sprang into action. Engineers double-checked systems, pilots prepped fighters docked in the hangar bay, and Lieutenant Kevin Hayes coordinated defensive strategies. Everyone knew this was the moment they had trained for, the moment that would decide Earth's fate. As the Zinthuri fleet approached, their ships formed a wide formation, surrounding the Odyssey from multiple angles. Their vessels glowed ominously, pulsing with energy as weapons charged. Xylar 9's voice crackled over the comms, cold and commanding. "Surrender your planet, or face annihilation." His words sent shivers down spines, but Rachel refused to back down. "We will never surrender," she replied firmly. "If you want Earth, you'll have to go through us." The battle began with a barrage of energy blasts from the Zinthuri ships. Bright beams streaked across space, striking the Odyssey's shields with devastating force. Alarms wailed inside the ship as vibrations rattled the hull. But the Odyssey held firm, its advanced shielding absorbing the impacts. Rachel maneuvered the ship skillfully, dodging the heaviest attacks while ordering counterstrikes. Plasma cannons fired in response, sending bursts of blue energy hurtling toward the enemy. Kevin played a crucial role in the fight, guiding fighter squadrons launched from the Odyssey's hangar. Pilots weaved through the chaos, targeting weaker points on the Zinthuri ships. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as human fighters struck true. "Keep pushing," Kevin shouted over the comm channel. "We can do this." Despite the bravery of the crew, the odds were overwhelming. The Zinthuri outnumbered them 10-1, and their firepower was relentless. Shields on the Odyssey flickered dangerously low, and damage reports poured in from every section of the ship. Fires broke out in engineering, and several crew members were injured. Still, no one faltered. Medics tended to the wounded, engineers patched up critical systems, and gunners kept firing without pause. Back on Earth, people watched the battle unfold in real time. News stations broadcast live feeds from cameras mounted on the Odyssey and nearby satellites. Billions of eyes were glued to screens, hearts pounding as they witnessed humanity's last stand. Crowds gathered in city squares, holding candles and praying for victory. Parents hugged their children tightly, wondering if this was the end, or the beginning of something new. Amid the chaos, Rachel made a bold decision. She ordered the activation of the Odyssey's experimental plasma cannon, a weapon so powerful it could only be used once before needing hours to recharge. It was risky, but she knew they couldn't keep fighting indefinitely. With precision timing, she positioned the ship directly in front of a key Xanthari command vessel. When the plasma cannon fired, a brilliant beam of white-hot energy shot out, slicing through the alien ship's defenses and obliterating it in an instant. Debris scattered across space as the rest of the fleet recoiled in shock. The destruction of the command ship threw the Xanthari into disarray. Their carefully coordinated attack unraveled as smaller ships scrambled to regroup. Sensing an opportunity, Rachel pressed her advantage. She directed the Odyssey's remaining weapons at exposed targets, taking out several more ships in quick succession. Fighter squadrons followed suit, picking off stragglers and forcing the aliens into retreat. For a moment, it seemed like humanity might actually win. But just as hope began to rise, Sylar 9 reappeared on the comms. His glowing eyes burned with fury. "You dare challenge us?" he snarled. "This is not over." With those words, the remaining Xanthari ships withdrew, vanishing into the depths of space as quickly as they had come. Silence fell over the Odyssey's bridge. Crew members exchanged stunned glances, unsure whether to celebrate or brace for another wave. Rachel let out a shaky breath, gripping the edge of her chair. "Stand down," she said softly. "But stay alert. They might come back." On Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. People erupted into cheers, pouring into streets to celebrate. Fireworks lit up the night sky, and songs of triumph filled the air. Yet even amid the jubilation, there was a sense of unease. The Xanthari hadn't been defeated. They had retreated, and everyone knew they wouldn't stay away forever. General Sam Carter addressed the public later that evening, his tone measured but resolute. "Today, humanity stood tall against an unimaginable threat," he said. "But our work is far from done. We must remain vigilant and continue strengthening our defenses. This is only the first step." Dr. Emily Dawson watched the speech from her lab, feeling a mix of pride and worry. She still believed in diplomacy, but after witnessing the ferocity of the Xanthari attack, she understood why some doubted peaceful solutions. Humanity had proven its strength, but at what cost? Lives had been lost, resources depleted, and fear etched deeply into the hearts of billions. Would the Xanthari ever see humans as equals, or only as adversaries? On board the Odyssey, repairs began immediately. Engineers worked tirelessly to fix damaged systems, while medics treated the injured. Morale remained high despite the exhaustion. The crew had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, not because of superior numbers or technology, but because of teamwork, courage, and sheer determination. Rachel walked among them, offering words of encouragement and gratitude. "You've done something incredible today," she told them. "But remember, we're here to protect Earth. Our job isn't finished yet." As the days passed, life slowly returned to normal, or as close to normal as possible under the circumstances. Schools reopened, businesses resumed operations, and families tried to move forward. But the shadow of the Xanthari lingered, a reminder that peace was fragile and fleeting. Satellites continued scanning the skies, and the Odyssey stayed on patrol, ready to defend Earth at a moment's notice. Though battered and bruised, humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with an advanced alien species. The battle had shown the world that even in the face of overwhelming odds, unity and resilience could prevail. But it had also revealed how much was at stake, and how far humanity still had to go. For now, Earth was safe. But as Rachel gazed out at the stars from the Odyssey's viewport, she couldn't shake the feeling that the universe was vast and unpredictable. Somewhere out there, the Xanthari were regrouping, planning their next move. And when they returned, humanity would need to be stronger, smarter, and braver than ever before. The aftermath of the battle left humanity in a strange limbo. On one hand, there was relief that Earth had survived. On the other, the threat of the Xanthari loomed larger than ever. People on Earth tried to return to their daily lives, but the memory of the alien fleet lingered like a storm cloud overhead. News outlets continued to cover the story nonstop, analyzing every detail of the fight and speculating about what might happen next. Scientists, politicians, and military leaders gathered for endless meetings, trying to plan for a future that felt uncertain at best. Dr. Emily Dawson spent most of her time reviewing data from the battle. She studied recordings of the Xanthari ships, analyzing their movements and tactics. One thing stood out to her. The aliens had retreated not because they were defeated, but because they were regrouping. Their withdrawal wasn't an admission of weakness, it was strategic. They're planning something bigger, she told General Sam Carter during a briefing. We need to be ready. Sam nodded, his expression grim. Agreed. But how? We can't keep throwing everything we have at them every time they attack. Sooner or later, we'll run out of resources. Emily hesitated before responding. Maybe it's time to think differently. Instead of focusing only on defense, we should try to understand them better. Why are they so determined to stop us? What do they fear? Her words sparked debate among the council members. Some argued that diplomacy was pointless after such a brutal battle. Others believed it was the only way to prevent further bloodshed. In the end, they decided to send another message to the Xanthari, this time more direct. Using the same frequency as before, they transmitted a simple statement. We seek peace, not war. Let us talk. Days passed without a response, and tensions mounted. The Odyssey remained stationed near Earth, its crew repairing damage from the battle, while staying alert for any sign of the Xanthari. Rachel Morgan walked the halls of the ship, checking on her team and offering encouragement. Despite their victory, she could see the toll the fight had taken. Dark circles shadowed the eyes of many crew members, and conversations were quieter now, tinged with exhaustion. Lieutenant Kevin Hayes spent hours poring over maps of nearby star systems, searching for clues about where the Xanthari might have gone. He also worked on refining battle strategies, knowing full well that the next encounter could be even deadlier. If they come back, they'll hit harder, he warned Rachel during one meeting. We need to find a way to tip the scales in our favor. Rachel agreed, but she also knew that brute force alone wouldn't win the war. Humanity needed allies, or at least a way to convince the Xanthari that coexistence was possible. She turned to the council for guidance, asking if anyone had ideas beyond building bigger weapons or faster ships. To everyone's surprise, Dr. Emily Dawson proposed an unconventional solution. What if we show them who we really are? She suggested. Not just our technology, but our culture, our values, our dreams. Maybe if they see that we're more than just a threat, they'll reconsider their stance. Her idea sparked cautious optimism. Over the next few weeks, the council worked with artists, musicians, and writers to create a new kind of message for the Xanthari. It included images of Earth's landscapes, recordings of human voices singing songs of hope, and videos of people helping each other in times of crisis. The goal was to paint a picture of humanity not as warriors, but as builders, creators, and dreamers. When the message was complete, it was transmitted into deep space, aimed in the direction the Xanthari fleet had vanished. Then, once again, humanity waited. Meanwhile, life aboard the Odyssey settled into a rhythm of repair and preparation. Engineers worked around the clock to restore the ship to full functionality, while pilots practiced maneuvers in simulated battles. Morale improved slightly as fresh supplies arrived from Earth, bringing letters and care packages from loved ones. For a brief moment, the weight of responsibility lifted, allowing the crew to laugh and share stories. But the calm didn't last long. One evening, sensors picked up movement near Neptune, a massive energy signature heading toward Earth. At first, it was unclear whether it belonged to the Xanthuri or some other unknown entity. Fear gripped the crew as they scrambled to confirm its origin. When the readings matched those of the alien fleet, Rachel gave the order to prepare for battle once more. This time, however, the Xanthuri approached differently. Instead of launching an immediate attack, they halted just outside Earth's orbit and broadcast a single word: negotiate. The message sent shockwaves through the council. Was this a trick, a trap, or a genuine attempt at peace? After much deliberation, they decided to take the risk. Under heavy escort by the Odyssey, a delegation led by Dr. Emily Dawson and General Sam Carter traveled to meet the Xanthuri aboard their flagship. The scene inside the alien vessel was surreal. The walls shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, and the air hummed faintly with energy. Dylar 9 awaited them, his towering form exuding authority. His glowing eyes scanned the humans coldly, but there was something different in his demeanor. Less hostility, more curiosity. You have proven yourselves resilient. Dylar 9 began, his voice translated into English. But your presence disrupts the balance we have maintained for millennia. Explain why you continue to expand into space. Emily stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly but her voice steady. We explore because it's who we are, she said. We seek knowledge, connection, and understanding. We don't wish to harm you or anyone else. All we want is a chance to grow, to become better versions of ourselves. For a long moment, Dylar 9 said nothing. Then, unexpectedly, he tilted his head, almost as if considering her words. Your actions speak louder than your promises, he replied. Prove that you mean what you say. The negotiation stretched on for hours, with both sides exchanging arguments and counterarguments. Slowly, painfully, common ground began to emerge. By the end of the meeting, the Xanthuri agreed to a temporary truce, provided that humanity limited its expansion and shared certain technologies. In return, they promised to withdraw their fleet and cease hostilities, for now. When the delegation returned to Earth, they were greeted as heroes. The news of the truce spread quickly, sparking celebrations worldwide. Yet beneath the surface, doubts lingered. Had humanity truly earned the trust of the Xanthuri, or was this simply a pause before the next conflict? On board the Odyssey, Rachel watched the stars through the viewport, reflecting on all that had happened. They had fought hard, sacrificed much, and achieved a fragile peace. But she knew the universe was vast and unpredictable. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them together, as survivors, as dreamers, and as fighters. The truce with the Xanthuri marked the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. It was a fragile peace, held together by promises and mutual suspicion, but it gave Earth time to heal and rebuild. The scars of the battle were still fresh, both in the physical damage done to cities and ships and in the emotional toll on those who had fought. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, there was also hope. For the first time, humans and aliens had sat down to talk instead of fight. Though no one knew how long the truce would last, it felt like a step forward. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Schools reopened their doors, businesses resumed operations, and families tried to move on from the fear that had gripped them during the crisis. Streets once filled with protests now buzzed with festivals celebrating survival and unity. Artists painted murals depicting the Odyssey alongside symbols of peace, capturing the resilience of humanity. Musicians wrote songs about courage and cooperation, their melodies echoing through towns and cities. But not everyone celebrated. Critics argued that trusting the Xanthuri was dangerous. They didn't come here to make friends, said one politician during a heated debate. They came because they saw us as a threat. What happens when we slip up, when we break one of their rules? Despite these concerns, most people chose to focus on the positives. After all, the alternative, a full-scale war, was unthinkable. Dr. Emily Dawson became a central figure in the diplomatic efforts with the Xanthari. She worked tirelessly to maintain communication, sending regular updates and sharing information about human culture. Her goal was simple: to show the aliens that humanity wasn't just a species of warriors. It was a species of dreamers, creators, and explorers. To her surprise, the Xanthari responded, not warmly, but at least with curiosity. They began asking questions about Earth's history, its art, and even its music. It was a small sign of progress, but Emily took it as proof that understanding was possible. Meanwhile, General Sam Carter focused on strengthening Earth's defenses. Though the truce was in place, he refused to let his guard down. Troops stationed on Mars and the Moon stayed on high alert, and satellites continued scanning the skies for any sign of trouble. The Odyssey remained Earth's primary line of defense, patrolling the edges of the solar system to ensure the Xanthari kept their word. Rachel Morgan and her crew worked hard to keep the ship in top condition, knowing they might be called upon again at any moment. Life aboard the Odyssey settled into a routine. Repairs from the battle were finally complete, and the ship gleamed like new under the stars. Crew members spent their downtime writing letters home, watching movies, or simply staring out the viewports at the endless expanse of space. Morale improved as the days passed without incident, though no one forgot the stakes. Lieutenant Kevin Hayes often reminded his team, "Peace is great, but don't get complacent. We're still the ones standing between Earth and whatever's out there." Despite the calm, Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. She spent hours poring over star charts and sensor readings, searching for anything unusual. One night, as she stood alone on the bridge, she noticed something strange: a faint signal coming from deep space. At first, she thought it might be interference, but the pattern was too deliberate to ignore. It wasn't coming from the Xanthari. It was something else entirely. Rachel shared her discovery with the council, who convened an emergency meeting. Dr. Emily Dawson listened intently as Rachel explained the signal's origin and characteristics. "It's not like anything we've seen before," Rachel said. "Could it be another alien species?" The possibility sent shivers through the room. Humanity had barely survived its encounter with the Xanthari. What would happen if another advanced species appeared? Would they be allies or enemies? Emily volunteered to investigate further. Using the same technology that had helped decode the Xanthari signal, she analyzed the transmission. Over weeks of painstaking work, fragments of the message began to emerge. It was written in a language unlike any known to humans, but the tone was unmistakable: curiosity. Whoever, or whatever, had sent the signal seemed interested in humanity. With the council's approval, Emily crafted a response. It was simple and non-threatening, much like the messages sent to the Xanthari. This time, however, they included recordings of Earth's natural sounds: the crash of waves, the rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds. The idea was to convey beauty and harmony, hoping to attract goodwill rather than hostility. As the message traveled into the void, humanity waited anxiously. Days turned into weeks, and just when it seemed the signal had gone unanswered, a reply arrived. It was brief but clear: "We observe. We wait." The council debated what to do next. Some argued for caution, fearing another confrontation. Others urged boldness, seeing this as an opportunity to forge alliances beyond the Xanthari. In the end, they decided to send a small exploratory mission to the source of the signal, located near the edge of the galaxy. The Odyssey was chosen for the task, given its capabilities and experienced crew. Rachel Morgan accepted the mission with quiet determination. She knew the risks involved, but she also understood the potential rewards. If humanity could establish contact with another intelligent species, one that viewed them as equals rather than threats, it could change everything. As the Odyssey prepared for departure, Rachel addressed her crew one last time. "This isn't just about exploring space," she said. "It's about proving that humanity belongs among the stars." The journey to the signal's origin took months, during which the crew grew closer than ever. They shared stories, celebrated birthdays, and supported each other through moments of doubt. When they finally arrived, they found themselves staring at a breathtaking sight, a massive structure floating in the darkness, pulsating with light and energy. It looked alive, almost organic, and it dwarfed the Odyssey in size. A voice crackled over the comms, soft and melodic. "You have come far, little ones. Why do you seek us?" Rachel stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We seek knowledge," she replied, "and friendship, if you'll have us." There was a long pause before the voice responded. "We shall see." Though the encounter raised more questions than answers, it left humanity with a profound sense of wonder. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of mysteries. But for the first time, humans weren't just looking at the stars. They were reaching for them, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead.